They say the moon remembers every soul it touches, but some souls, it marks. There are stories about Moonveil, a city wrapped in mist, where the forests breathe and the night hums like a living thing. People don't come here for the view or the peace. They come here to forget, or to disappear. But some nights, when the fog drifts low enough and the wolves start to sing, something ancient wakes. And if you listen closely enough, it whispers your name before the story begins. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to support this channel. Now, let's return to Moonveil. The rain had been falling since dawn, soft and endless. The kind of rain that sounds like memory, gentle, steady, and impossibly sad. She arrived at the edge of the city carrying only a suitcase and a heartbeat that didn't feel like her own. It was faster, louder, wrong somehow. She told herself it was nerves, a new beginning, a new place. But deep down she knew it wasn't that simple. For weeks her dreams had been haunted by someone she'd never met. A shadow beneath a blood-red moon. Eyes of gold, voice of fire. Every night he called her name, not softly but like it hurt to say it. And every time she woke, the echo of that voice lingered in her bones. She had never told anyone. How could she? How do you explain that your dreams feel more real than your waking life? That your pulse doesn't belong to you anymore? Moonveil was smaller than she expected. The streets were quiet, empty, lined with cracked stone and old lamps that flickered like they'd grown tired of burning. The air smelled of rain and pine, and something else. Something wild. Locals avoided her eyes when she passed. Some made the sign of the cross. Others whispered beneath their breath. It was the same whisper she had heard in her dreams. A name. His name. She didn't know it yet, but the city already did. That night, she unpacked in the old house left behind by her aunt, a crumbling mansion on the hill overlooking the forest. The wind howled through broken shutters, carrying with it the scent of the storm. She lit a candle and sat by the window, tracing the raindrops on the glass. And that's when she felt it again, that pull in her chest. It started as a tremor, then a pulse, then something alive beneath her skin. Outside, the forest moved. Not the branches, not the trees. The forest. It breathed. The candle flickered once. The room grew cold. She looked up, and through the glass in the distance, someone was standing beneath the trees, tall, still, watching. Her breath hitched. The fog swallowed most of his face, but the eyes, she could see them even through the rain. They glowed faintly, gold against the gray, and just like in her dreams, she couldn't look away. He didn't move. Neither did she. It felt like recognition, or maybe warning. Then, just as lightning split the sky, he was gone. Sleep never came that night. She lay in bed listening to the wind, the rain, and her own heartbeat, loud, restless, as if it belonged to someone else entirely. When morning came, she found something strange on the window pane. Fingerprints, too large to be hers, still warm. She touched the glass and whispered to no one, or maybe to the thing that waited in the forest. Who are you? And far beyond the trees, in the heart of the woods where the fog never lifts, something stirred. A man, or what used to be one, lifted his head to the sound of her voice. The mark on his shoulder began to burn, glowing faintly like fire beneath his skin. He exhaled once, voice breaking into the wind. She's here. Some storms don't come to destroy you. They come to remind you what still sleeps inside. The next morning broke gray and cold. Fog crawled through the streets like smoke, and the sound of the forest carried further than usual. Low, haunting, almost human. She wrapped her sweater tighter, staring through the cracked window at the endless stretch of pine below. Somewhere out there was him. She didn't know who he was, or what he was, but the thought of those golden eyes had kept her awake until dawn. Every time she blinked, she saw them. Every time she breathed, she swore she could feel him closer. The locals had warned her about the forest. They said it wasn't safe after sundown, that people went missing, that the wolves there weren't wolves at all. But curiosity is a dangerous kind of hunger. It doesn't care what it costs. So when the rain slowed and the air grew still, she went outside. The path was narrow, muddy, swallowed by roots and shadows. Each step felt heavier than the last, like the earth itself didn't want her there. And yet, something called her deeper. A whisper in her mind, a pull in her chest. She didn't hear him at first. She felt him, that shift in the air, that sudden awareness that she was no longer alone. Then came the voice, deep, rough, like it had been silent for centuries. You shouldn't be here. Her breath caught. The sound came from behind her. She turned, but there was nothing. Just fog. Then again, closer. You don't belong in this part of the forest. A shadow moved between the trees, tall, broad, and quiet as the mist itself. Her pulse quickened. Every instinct screamed run, but her heart whispered stay. He stepped forward. She couldn't see his face clearly, just the outline. Wet hair, a dark coat, and eyes that caught the light like fire through amber. Her lips parted, but no words came out. The man tilted his head slightly, watching her with a kind of restraint that felt unnatural, like he was holding something back, something dangerous. Why are you here? He asked. This place doesn't welcome strangers. She swallowed, trying to steady her voice. I live here now. The old house on the hill. Something flickered across his expression. Surprise, pain, maybe fear. Then he took a step closer. That house doesn't belong to you, he murmured. It never did. Lightning cracked the sky above them, throwing his face into sharp relief. And for a split second, she saw it. The mark on his neck, faintly glowing beneath the skin. The same one she'd seen in her dreams. Her lips trembled. He saw the recognition in her eyes, and his jaw tightened. You need to leave Moonveil, he said quietly, before it remembers you. And before she could speak, he turned and vanished into the fog. Gone, like he'd never been there at all. That night the storm returned. Wilder, louder. She sat by the fire, the old house creaking like it could feel the wind too. But the thing that kept her awake wasn't the thunder. It was the sound beneath it, a howl, not far. It wasn't the sound of a beast. It was grief. And when she closed her eyes, she saw him again, standing at the edge of the forest, shirt torn, rain washing blood from his skin. He was looking at the moon like it was both his curse and his only mercy. And when the light hit him just right, she saw it. His hands weren't human anymore. Neither were his eyes. She woke in a gasp, heartbeat shaking through her ribs. The storm was still raging, but there, in the silence between the thunder, she heard her name. Not shouted, whispered, right outside the window. He'd told her to leave Moonveil. But what if Moonveil wouldn't let her? The storm lasted 3 nights. 3 endless nights of wind, rain, and the sound of something prowling just beyond the light. She barely slept. Every creak of the house made her flinch. Every howl carried her name. It wasn't fear that kept her awake. It was longing. The voice outside the window had never sounded angry. It sounded broken. On the 4th morning, the storm finally broke. Mist rolled down from the hills, soft and silver, wrapping the city in quiet. She walked outside barefoot, the ground still slick with rain. The forest loomed ahead, darker than before, like it knew she was coming. Something in her chest guided her steps, some memory older than thought. Each breath felt like a promise she didn't remember making. The deeper she went, the quieter the world became. Birds stopped singing, wind stopped moving. Only the heartbeat remained, slow, rhythmic, not hers. Then she saw him. He was standing by the stream, shirtless, the marks along his back catching the light. Scars that looked more like runes, burned into the skin, glowing faintly beneath the surface. For a moment she just watched him. He wasn't the monster from her nightmares. He looked, human, tired, alone. When he turned, their eyes met, and the world seemed to still. "You shouldn't have come." His voice was low, steady, almost pained. She didn't answer. She couldn't. The sight of him stole her breath, and yet something in her recognized him, not as a stranger, but as someone she'd lost long ago. He took a step closer, slow and cautious, as though approaching a wild thing. "Do you know what I am?" She shook her head. "Then you should run before you find out." He said it softly, like a plea, but she didn't move. The distance between them hummed, thick and magnetic. It wasn't attraction. It was gravity. "Why do you call my name?" she whispered. He looked away, eyes dark with regret. "Because the moon made me remember you." Something in her chest twisted. The way he said it, it wasn't poetry. It was confession. "You were not supposed to come back here," he said. "You were meant to live far from this place, far from me." "And yet, I found you." "No," he breathed. "You felt me." He moved closer, the air between them electric. Every instinct told her to back away, but her heart betrayed her. When his fingers brushed her wrist, a shock ran through her veins, heat, memory, and something primal. The forest seemed to react. Leaves trembled, light dimmed, the river stilled. "Do you feel it?" he asked. "What is it?" "The bond," he whispered. "The curse that tied us before we were born." She didn't understand, but her pulse told her that she did. He looked at her then, really looked, as though searching for the girl she once was beneath all the years that separated them. "Every lifetime," he said, "I lose you, and every lifetime, you find me again." The words struck something deep, something buried. Memories she couldn't explain flickered. Shadows of another life, another self, another ending drenched in moonlight and blood. Her voice trembled. "What are you saying?" He took her hand gently, eyes burning gold again. "That this isn't the first time I've loved you." Silence fell. The forest breathed. The moon rose early, pale against the daylight, watching, and as its light touched them both, something ancient stirred, the bond waking, the curse remembering. She felt it in her bones. Fear, hunger, desire, fate. All one. All him. He let go first. He always did. "Go home," he said quietly, "before the moon takes me again." But even as he walked away, she knew it was too late. Whatever connected them wasn't something either of them could escape. The pull of the moon had already begun. The next evening came heavy with mist. The forest below the house glowed faintly under the rising moon, as if the ground itself was remembering something. She tried to forget him. She tried to convince herself it was madness, that she'd imagined the man, the eyes, the warmth that still lingered where he'd touched her. But when she looked at the sky, she saw it again, the same pale moon that had followed her since childhood, watching her like an old, unblinking eye. And deep down, she knew it wasn't finished. The knock came just past midnight. 3 soft taps against the door, hesitant but certain. When she opened it, he was there. Drenched in rain, eyes hollow, breathing like someone who had run for miles. For a long time, neither of them spoke. Then he said quietly, "The moon is full tonight. I can't stay long." His voice sounded different, lower, rougher, as if another voice hid beneath it. She stepped aside, wordless, and he entered. The air around him seemed to hum. The candlelight bent toward him, shadows shrinking in his presence. "I didn't mean for you to see what you saw," he said. "But now that you have, I can't let you walk blind through this city." He looked out the window toward the hills. The fog there was moving like smoke, curling around the trees. "There's something inside me," he said. "Something the moon calls back every month. It isn't human, and it isn't merciful. She wanted to deny it, but the way his hands trembled told her he wasn't lying. The mark, she said. The one that burns when I'm near you. What is it? He smiled faintly, without joy. It's the curse. A promise made long before we were born. A promise to who? To the moon itself. He told her the story then. The first truth anyone had ever told her about Moonveil. Long ago, the city had been home to two souls bound by love so fierce it defied death. When one was taken, the other called on the moon for the power to bring her back. The moon listened, but it demanded something in return, their humanity. So every generation, when the moon rose full, it searched for them again. Two souls marked by the same flame, one to remember, one to forget, both to suffer. As he spoke, the candlelight flickered and the air grew colder. His voice wavered, and she saw it. The change beginning. His eyes brightened, his breath hitched, his shoulders tensed, as if something inside fought to be free. He turned away, gripping the table until the wood cracked beneath his hands. You need to leave, he gasped. I can't stop it this time. But she didn't move. Then don't, she whispered. Don't fight it because of me. He looked at her then, pain and hunger warring in his gaze. You don't understand what I become. Then show me, she said. Show me the truth. For a heartbeat, silence. Then the sound, a low growl that wasn't human, rumbling deep in his chest. The candle blew out. In the darkness, her breath mingled with his, and the world felt smaller, sharper, alive. The sound of the rain faded beneath the sound of his heartbeat, or maybe hers. When light returned, he was on his knees, trembling, eyes gold again, every muscle shaking from restraint. But he hadn't changed fully. Not yet. He was still fighting it. For her, you see now, he said hoarsely. Why I told you to run. She knelt beside him, reached for his face. You don't scare me. You should. Maybe I should, she whispered. But I don't. Because when I look at you, I see the same thing that's inside me. He froze. And what's that? Something that shouldn't exist, but does. Outside, the wind began to rise again. The moon climbed higher, brighter as if listening. And in that strange, fragile stillness they stayed. Two cursed souls beneath a sky that had already chosen their fate. Night pressed close around the old house. The rain had gone, but the world outside still shone with the memory of it. Silver light over wet stone, quiet air, waiting. Inside, the fire had burned low. He stood before it, head bowed, hands clenched. Every muscle in his body shook with the effort of holding the change at bay. She watched him from the shadows. There was no fear left in her, only ache. Every breath she took felt borrowed from him, like their hearts had forgotten whose rhythm to follow. How long can you fight it? She asked softly. Until the moon grows tired of watching, he said, his voice rough, half-broken. And when it does, then it takes what's left of me. He turned toward her. The light caught his face, half human, half something older. The mark on his neck burned brighter, spreading across his skin like veins of fire. The floor trembled as the wind rose outside. A low sound escaped him. Not quite a growl, not quite a cry. Something in between. He pressed a hand against his chest as if to hold the beast inside. It wants you, he said, not to hurt you, just to claim what it thinks belongs to it. And do you? He met her eyes. For a heartbeat, the world stilled. I don't know where I end anymore. She stepped closer, slow, deliberate, the firelight catching in her eyes. Her fingers brushed his wrist, one small touch, and the shaking stopped. The mark's glow dimmed, the air calmed. It was as if the curse itself recognized her, and for a moment, mercy returned. Maybe it doesn't want to destroy you, she said. Maybe it only wants to remember. Remember what? Who we were. He closed his eyes, breathing hard, and she felt the storm ease from his body. But outside, the forest howled, dozens of voices joining the night, calling for him to surrender. He opened his eyes again, gold burning through the human brown. "They know," he whispered. "The pack feels it. They know you're here." "Then let them come." "No," he said, shaking his head. "If they find you, they'll make you part of the curse too." He reached for her hand and pressed it to his heart. His skin was fever warm, his pulse wild beneath her palm. "When the moon is high, promise me you'll stay hidden. And if I don't, then you'll see what the hunger really means." Outside, clouds drifted apart, and the full moon poured through the window. White, merciless light. He stiffened. The mark flared again, brighter than fire. "It's time," he said, barely more than a breath. "Whatever happens next, don't be afraid." She wanted to tell him she wasn't, but the words caught in her throat as the change began. The sound of bones shifting filled the air, low, distant, like thunder rolling inside a human frame. His shadow lengthened across the wall, stretching, twisting, until it no longer looked like a man's. And still, she didn't move. Her heart broke for him, not from fear, but from the helplessness of watching someone fight a battle they could never win. When the light faded, he was gone, vanished into the forest with the rest of the howls. Only the echo of his voice remained. "Stay inside. Whatever you hear, don't follow." But she did, because love never obeys warnings. She stepped out into the silver-washed night, barefoot, hair tangled in the wind. Every sound led her deeper, each heartbeat, each distant growl guiding her toward him. And though the forest whispered danger with every breath, she whispered something back. "I'm not afraid of the moon." Mist curls between the trees like breath. Each step she takes leaves no print, as if the ground itself wants to hide her. Somewhere ahead, branches break, fast, heavy, circling. The wolves are near. She should turn back. But the pull in her chest won't let her. It beats like a compass made of blood. A shadow flashes through the fog, too tall for a beast, too wild for a man. Then another, then two more. Yellow eyes blink from the dark, surrounding her, silent and waiting. She doesn't run. She lifts her chin and whispers to the night, "I came for him." The eyes shift, uncertain. A low growl rises, answered by another, until the whole forest vibrates. And then, a single sharp sound, a command. They fall back. The pack parts like water, and through them comes the one she sought. Moonlight slides over his skin, catching silver where fur meets flesh. He's half changed now. Human face, inhuman eyes. The beast in him stares from behind the man he's trying to remain. He stops just out of reach. The air between them burns cold. "I told you not to follow. And I told you I don't listen well." For a heartbeat, silence, only their breathing, the rustle of the pack pacing in a ring around them. "They think you're prey," he says, "but they don't know you yet." "Then tell them." His voice drops to a growl. "If I speak, they'll obey the wolf, not the man. Then let the wolf remember me too." He steps closer. The moonlight hits them both, and the mark on her wrist, one she never noticed before, flares to life, mirroring his. The pack freezes. Something ancient recognizes something older still. For the first time, the forest bows its head. He reaches out, hesitates, then presses his hand to hers. The light from their marks joins, two flames folding into one. The wind stops. "You shouldn't be able to do that," he whispers. "Maybe it's not you the moon wants anymore," she answers. The wolves retreat into the mist, leaving them alone. He's trembling, half from pain, half from awe. "You broke the call," he says. "No one ever has. Maybe love is louder." He almost smiles, a soundless thing, and for a moment the world feels right. But above them the moon swells brighter, angry, betrayed. The bond that saved him has also challenged it. The forest groans. The light turns red. "It's not finished," he says. "If we stay, it will tear the city apart." Then we run. Where? Anywhere the moon can't find us. He looks at her, hope flickering for the first time. "Then hold on to me." She does. He draws her close, and the wind explodes outward, mist scattering, wolves howling one last time as they vanish into the trees. The last thing she sees of Moonveil is the crimson reflection of the moon bleeding across the rooftops. Somewhere beyond the forest, a new heartbeat begins. The wind dies somewhere beyond the city's edge. The world is quieter here, a clearing half lit by dying moonlight, the horizon bleeding into dawn. She's still holding him. His breath is shallow, his eyes dim but steady. The mark on his wrist flickers like an ember about to fade. He looks toward the horizon. It followed us. And he's right. The moon still hangs behind the clouds, larger, lower, pulsing like a living wound. She kneels beside him. "You said we could outrun it." "We did. For a heartbeat." His laugh is soft, painful, like he's remembering what it meant to be human. "The bond we made wasn't meant to exist. You gave part of your soul to a creature that was never supposed to love." She shakes her head. "Then let it be wrong. Let us be wrong together." He watches her, eyes gold under the dimming moon, the last trace of the beast flickering behind them. "If I let go, it'll die with me. If you hold on, it'll live through me." He wants to argue, but her hand is already on his chest, over the heartbeat that sounds like thunder. "Do you trust me?" "Always." The moon bursts into full brightness, not white now, but crimson. The forest around them bends under invisible pressure. Trees groan. The ground trembles. She closes her eyes. The light from her wrist expands, swirling up her arm, across her throat, pure, blinding gold. She presses her palm to his mark. There's a sound like shattering glass. The moon itself cracks, spilling red light over the clouds. Then silence. When she opens her eyes, he's gone. Not dead, just gone. The air where he was still hums with the echo of his heartbeat. The wolves are nowhere to be seen. The forest feels lighter, freer, almost grateful. She looks up. The moon has dimmed, now pale and fragile, no longer watching. Days pass. Moonveil breathes again. The howls cease. The mist clears. At night, the moonlight falls soft and white over the rooftops, as if remembering what peace feels like. She walks the streets alone now, tracing the outline of the mark that no longer glows. But sometimes, when the wind shifts, she swears she can hear his voice in it. The moon doesn't own us anymore. She smiles. No, we own the night now. A faint shimmer glows against her palm. One heartbeat, then another, echoes faintly under her skin. The mark relights, gold again, soft and alive. And somewhere beyond the horizon, another mark answers. Even curses bow to love in the end. If you felt that, if this story touched something inside you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and share it with someone who believes love can defy even the moon itself. Until next time, this is Moonveil, where every heartbeat hides a story.